Now the head coach of the Cougars, Kelvin Sampson, we're going to ask him to make a statement about the day in between games, and then we'll go to questions. Kelvin, please.
Blessed to still be playing. It's, after tomorrow night, I was just talking with the lady outside. This time last week, everybody was excited about Selection Sunday, and it's kind of like Christmas morning. You don't know where you're going to be or who you're playing, and so much excitement about that. Tomorrow night, there's only 16 teams left, so a lot of basketball to be played, and we're excited to having won last night and get a chance to play again on Sunday.
Kelvin, John Houston's been with you guys since '97, and obviously he predates you, but he's one of those people who's seen so many things happen, the rebuild of the program. What's it mean to somebody like him that you've dealt with for 5 years to be in this situation and having watched this program go through so many different changes?
It's those trainers are they're worth their weight in gold. It's they have so many responsibilities. John and I talk at 8:30 every morning. During the season, from October 1st until unless we're on a road trip together, we go through all the injuries. He has a great feel for people. Kids will talk to the trainer in ways that maybe they won't talk to the coach. But John's just a great person. I've only seen John cry one time, and that his son got accepted to Naval Academy, and when his son left, Trey, because he's really, really tight with his family. His wife was a gymnast at the University of Kentucky, and Trey's got accepted to the Naval Academy, and just a big-time family man from a great family. I was impressed with John from the get-go. I had a great trainer at Oklahoma, Alex Brown. And when I came over to University of Houston, Alex called and told me about John, how good he was. So, there's a couple positions that you don't want to change, and the trainer's one of them. We've been blessed to have John for these 5 years, and he's great for this basketball program.
Kelvin, you go.
No, you got to say who you are.
Okay, I'm sorry. Mark Berman from Fox Houston.
Okay, now you can go.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't look for favors.
Vet move on your part. You'd like to talk about the challenges of prepping for a team you've never played, but you haven't played, and you only have 1 day's notice or so, a couple days' notice. It's part of the tournament, I know, but the challenges of prepping for a situation like that.
Yeah, we're all in it. Whoever's playing today or tomorrow is doing the same thing. I was watching a game before I left the room. Who was it? LSU in Maryland. You just do the best you can. I don't overanalyze it or worry about it. It's we watched them play last night and didn't know who we were going to play until later. It's after 11 o'clock, I think. But I just watched some on my laptop. I just watched a couple of their games. We played Michigan last year in the second round. So we're familiar with a lot of their players. So I watched them play Michigan just to see how Michigan defended some of their actions. But whoever you play the second round is always going to be a good team, and Ohio State's a good team.
Kelvin, Rob Aller, Columbus Dispatch. A lot of talk about Tom Izzo and his methodology the last few days. You've done this a long time. I assume you have some thoughts on this. Is this a societal issue, or what do you think of the heat he's taking, and is it warranted, is it not?
There's coaching is is all about relationships. I've seen that guy before, the Tom Izzo. I've seen that guy, but I also have seen the relationship with that coach and that kid, and that kid embraces that and expects it. And I think it's one of those things where it looks a lot worse than it actually is. You know, I don't know enough about banking to comment on a bad investment. I don't know enough about what a good surgery is or a bad surgery. The thing about coaching is everybody's a coach. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody knows what they can do or what they can't do. But the only thing that bothers me is evaluating a person you don't know. It's amazing how we hold other people to standards we won't hold our own self. So to me, that's Tom Izzo coaching his team. That's the way he coaches. And there's not a kid that signs with Tom that doesn't know what they're getting into, and yet they do. So I don't see a problem.
How about you? I asked 2 of your players there on 1 to 5, 1 being mellow and 5 fiery, and they said, "What about 10?" Have you?
Was that 5 and 5, or is that how you got to the 10?
Yeah, I don't know.
They both said 5, and so we added the 2 together. Or?
Have you mellowed or not? And just your journey in terms of.
I don't know if that's for me to answer. I mean, Montana Tech was a long time ago. You know, when I was at Montana Tech, I didn't know whether I was on foot or horseback. You know, I was just a young guy that, you know, when you're young and you lose a game, you never think you're going to win another one. But I wasn't a very good coach, though. I didn't know how bad maybe bad's the wrong term. I didn't know how inadequate I was as a coach until I got older. And sometimes I always felt like I should have called those kids at Montana Tech and apologized to them for not knowing any better than I did. I tried to get better as you know, I was 24 when I went there. I became the head coach when I was 25. So that just shows you how hard or bad a job it was. They'd hire a guy like me. If it was a good job, they'd have never hired me. They just said, well, here, give it to him. What the hell we got to lose? I don't think they'd ever had a winning season. But I tried hard. But you know, my dad was real. My dad always wore a coat and tie. You know, that's one of the reasons why I always wore a coat and tie. He always did. He just always wore a coat and tie. You know, he always had a towel over his shoulder, but never heard him raise his voice much. You know, but that was his personality. You know, so I didn't try to. I tried to be like him in a lot of ways, but I tried to be like me more. You'd have to ask those guys from Montana Tech and Washington State. I'm sure they would tell you the same thing, though.
Sure, you did the best you could at the time. Kelvin, John Hoover, The Sporting News. I got interested in what you said a couple of days ago about delegating and what you learned from Pop and what you learned from Kevin McHale about delegating. Mm-hmm. On your staff, logistically, what does that look like, the communication process? Do the guys divvy it up? Do you assign certain games to certain coaches, or do you have a coach who's in charge of one specific part of the game planning, or what's that look like?
No, I do the assigning because everybody's personality is different. You know, I don't think there's some things assistant coaches aren't ready to do. They're not the head coach. They can do a lot of head coaching things, but like I want the guy that I think is does the best job, the most thorough job. Is going to put the time and energy and go the extra mile in terms of scouting or game prep. I want him to have the hardest teams. Because you're a really good team doesn't mean you're a hard scout. You know, sometimes the really, really good teams are easiest teams to scout because they just got good players. They don't run anything tricky. You know, they just line up and, you know, we're getting ready to give it to the fullback, stop us. Whether you can or can't, that's up to you. But we have some really good coaches in our league that require, one of my rules is you have to watch the last 5 games. You know, this time of year, we don't have time to go watch Ohio State's games in November and December. This time of year, you are who you are recently. So you go watch their last 5 games, and then I want somebody that's going to take the time to go look at every close game they've had, say, in conference season. What did they do with under 30 seconds left? They called timeout. What did they run? They needed a 3. What did they run? They needed a 2. What did they run? If it's baseline out of bounds, not every assistant will be thorough maybe in something like that. So that's why, as a coach, I assign the games. Now, once they do the games, I let them use their creativity in scouting reports. I don't have a template for that.
In the back.
Yeah, Paul Keels from WBNS Radio in Columbus. Kelvin, having been to the NCAA tournament a number of times over the years, is there still a point of making it special for yourself, coaching staff, players, while also dealing with the things like the quick turnaround and things like that?
Absolutely. This is a great experience for these kids, and I want them to know how special it is. And I don't care what school you come from; it doesn't matter. You know, I've been to the NCAA tournament in it was the Pac-10 then, Pac-10, Big 12, Big 10, American Athletic Conference. It's all the same. There is no difference. It's all the same. When you're sitting in front of that television and you get little butterflies, and all of a sudden they say in the Midwest Regional, the 3 seed, the University of Houston, and here comes the euphoria. The only difference is cell phones. Back in the Pac-10 days, no cell phones back then. You know, just that's a lot different. I guess that just shows how old I'm getting, I guess. But I still like to see the excitement. Like this morning when we came down for the coaches met early this morning on some scouting report stuff, watch film, but just seeing the kids come down for breakfast and just you know, talking to them and asking them, you know, what